Hi there, welcome to my channel. This is Wendy's One Heart World. Love and above and the tools of the universe. Those are the things that I focus on and you try to use to the best of my ability with love and intention. And today's video is about fear and how it has affected, let alone how to overcome it. And everything is a process. But fear is something that I recently had to realize it's something that everybody has and it's not so abnormal. And when I came to realize that it's something that's normal, it gave me ease. It's kind of like realizing you're not the only one going through something and that everybody has it. And it's like, oh, well, okay. And what helped me realize that actually was a picture I had seen online, and it's called The Hero's Journey. And if you'll notice what it's talking about, so limited awareness of problem is number one. Number two, increased awareness. Definitely, I've had increased awareness for quite a while. Number three is fear of resistance to change. The fear. And when I saw that listed on here, I was like, oh, and that's a hero's journey. I'm like, oh, that feels kind of good. Instead of feeling scareful, fearful, and negative, I'm like, it put a new perspective on things. Number five, coming to change. Number six, experimenting with new conditions. Number seven, preparing for major change. And then you've got the big change here at the bottom. Number nine, accepting consequences of new life, new challenges, and redirection. Last minute dangers is number 11, and 12 is mastery. Well, if I'm on number three, I guess I still have a way to go, but the hero's journey, this gave me peace and allowed me to breathe easier instead of being wound up. The hero's journey, I'm like, oh, is that what I'm on? Because I want to do amazing things, and I've absorbed a lot of knowledge, and I've been working with spirit for quite a while. And it didn't do it for no good reason. It's to be able to help people, and like the light bulb moments that I have had, I want other people to pick up on, and it's like this awakening that's been going on is amazing. So for me to see this as the hero's inner journey, and that fear was a bigger part of it, it actually allowed me to be comfortable with knowing that fear was not awful and that it wasn't paralyzing and that it was part of the process. And it's pretty that was valuable to me. It changed my perception, and all we ever need is a new perception to be able to get through something that's uncomfortable. And I got something sticking out there, but anyway, fear, negative, nervousness, and anxiety. So what I was able to get rid of to begin with was negative nervousness, and anxiety. Let's say it's all gone, but for my purpose, those things, once I got those in the background, then fear was standing me in the face. And I'm like, how does this evolution happen, and what's the process? So that's why I'm here. The class I was taking for soul coaching, or coaching in general, it had you making videos every day. And it was exhausting me mentally because of the anxiety that I had. And I was just, by the second video, I was like, oh my, it just, you could feel, I'm like, I have to get through this. I have to be able to make the class. And I wanted my YouTube channel. So it was like, well, you better get used to this. And when I went through the second session, the feeling of hitting the button and moving forward felt peaceful and more calm. The repetition of working through that anxiety and letting it get through you is the way to do it. You can't just walk away from it. You have to keep going forward, keep taking those little next steps in the midst of being aware of something. That has helped me tremendously. I helped a friend out. I'm in broadcasting. I've been doing that for 25 years or so. And I got a friend of mine who just got paralyzed with that, and he couldn't go back on air. He's dealing with midlife crisis, father that had passed, family had been ripped apart, and it paralyzed him here, and he could no longer do his newscast. And as soon as he told me that, I was like, we're going to get through this. I'm like, I went through this just now trying to do my videos for what I wanted, and I texted him. I said, you're going to call me and we're going to work together. So instead of him coming into the office, got him on the phone, and I said, I'm going to interview you. And I gave him a subject. So it took everything off of him and gave him a topic to think about. And instead of focusing on what he couldn't do, give him a topic and know that a friend was going to be there to just help him. I sat in my studio, turned the button on, and said, I'm going to interview you. And I gave him a topic and started asking him questions to get him comfortable and off of any anxiety and just putting him in the now moment. It helped him tremendously. I pulled a newscast, emailed it to him, and I said, now we're going to do a newscast. And he literally worked through it. And he knew he was with a friend. He wasn't on air. And I just said, okay, start reading. I said, it's just me. It's just you. And I said, I'm going to record them and let you see how you sound. And he sounded amazing. He didn't sound like somebody just walking off the street coming in to do a newscast. He knew what the heck he was doing. He just had to work through this anxiety that had now popped up into his body that he didn't know how to release. And it's the repetition of new memories, going forward with what you do want instead of focusing on what you don't want and what has happened. And 3 days of doing these each day, and I made him go faster, and I made him go again, and we would do different newscasts. And I just said, okay. And I made him breathe in between each one. I made him do long, deep holding breaths through each one, and then start again. And this way didn't give him time to have anxiety, but his physical body is responding to what he has to do, what he knows how to do, instead of the anxiety. And by day 3, he mentioned, he said he still had some tingling in the back of his neck, but that it wasn't debilitating, that he could move through it. And I'm like, okay, I'm happy to help. Let's do this, So repetition is one of the steps, and those are 2 examples of how it worked for me personally and how I helped somebody else work through it personally. I also listen to, so anything that I'm talking about, by the way, hey, subscribe, hit the button, hit the thumbs up button. I'm going to have a giveaway after 1,000 subscribers. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a clue as to how to be a part of the drawing for the subscription. Okay, so stick around for that. Okay, so number 1, be aware of what you're thinking. The average person has 70,000 negative thoughts going through their brain a day. And there's different studies that are having more information come out on that. This is one that I just heard the other day. They shut you down. They shut you down. We think, oh, I don't have a college education. Oh, I'm not good enough. And you see your competition around you and you think, oh, somebody's already doing that. No one will want to hear me or see me or whatever I'm doing. All of that is coming from a place of not enough. We are such powerful beings, and we have so much to give. Becoming aware of what you're thinking, where the average thinker has 70 negative thoughts a day that shut you down. Law of attraction teaches us we have a choice to be able to detach from the bad thoughts. That's what a lot of people have begun to learn, and then they think, well, these affirmations, they're not doing anything for me. You kind of got to go a little farther. It's the first step in making that direction. So number 1, they said number 2 is repetition. Number 3 is affirmations. So you rebuild the software in the mind. Think about the things that you love. So imagery, the things that change the brain really quickly. The brain responds to repetition, imagery, and emotion. You create your own reality. So think of something that you love. When you open up the heart with something that you love, that you're focused on, and that is normally a pet. Think of a pet and think of their face, and you'll instantly feel the warmth in your heart. Make sure it's a positive situation. Sometimes, the death of a pet, think of the good times that you had regarding that. And pull the love. Find something that's going to pull love right here. Take that breath, feel it in your heart, and it connects automatically to your brain. And when you open these 2 strong vessels of the body up and they connect, that's when you start your alignment and you allow things to come in for change, okay, for intuition to happen, for miracles to happen. Let's see. The oracle card that I have here I showed you this. This was pretty powerful, and this is why I'm bringing it in. This is just energy. We're all energy, and cards are energy because you were, through divine intervention, things just kind of fall out of the deck, and they're meant to be. And the other day, I was in the car, and I was listening to a video, and it started getting me emotional. And I was like, and it was connected to the word fear. And so I focused on that. Instead of being fearful and sitting with the emotion of fear, I went to the description of fear. And I went, okay, this is what I need to focus on. The anxiety and all of that other stuff had kind of dwindled so that I could actually do this. But then stepping into my platform and being able to speak to you, although I've been speaking to people for thousands of years on the air, directing them and on the road and telling them news and stuff, this is a whole other ballgame. This is my own personal purpose, and you're here specifically to hear the information that I have to give to you. And I'm very grateful that you're here, by the way. Thank you so much. The Oracle cards helped me in my next step after hearing that video that caught me in the midst of recognizing the belief that I had was fear. I get home and I open up this deck of cards. I'd only used them a couple of times, and you've probably heard of James Van Praagh. It's called The Soul's Journey. This is a very, very good deck. It's connected to a lot of the emotions, and I knew when I got it, I knew that it was going to be one of my favorite decks, The Soul's Journey. These are lesson cards, 44 deck, and it's got a guidebook in it as well. I get home. Now, I had high anxiety earlier in my life from the situations I was in, and so I've had shooting pains through my arm before, and I know how powerful the hands can be. There's actually chakras in your hands, and I've used this before to decipher things. You warm up your hands, and then I spread out the cards, and you take 3 deep breaths. You get in alignment, you get your center, and the breath is always the way to do that. Fanned out the cards, and the way that I feel the energy from the cards to the hand is either heat coming up from under the card, more so you get the feel of the entire deck, and then you stop your hand where you feel the energy coming up to your hand. Once you've activated your hand, it's going to be, of course, more responsive. So either I feel a throbbing in the palm of my hand, or I feel the heat coming up from the card. I picked one card out of that deck. Do you know what it was? That card. And do you know that didn't scare me? This gave me affirmation that I was on the right track, that Spirit was with me, that I was connected to Spirit, to be able to pull the energy card that I need to focus on to be able to move forward and do what I need to do, my purpose. And I got so much validation from pulling a fear card. I would think, who does that? Who does that? But it worked. It was amazing. So I'm going to read to you what the fear card says. It's very crucial to the whole process here. At the bottom of the card, it says, I realize that I am testing my resolve to live in the energy of love. The outcome of all choices in life is determined by 2 emotions, fear and love. Your soul is made of energy of love, and fear is an earthly manifestation of a challenge. To embrace and wallow in fear is to go against your very being. Fear, in many of its guises, is the obstacle that your soul uses to test its tenacity to stay on track. For a soul, human life can be very difficult, but acknowledging that your soul's true nature is love will always help you on your path. When your fear rears its ugly head in its real opportunity, it is time for you to stare it in the eye and turn that doubt into trust. View it as a teacher. What lessons are you learning from these fearful emotions? The more you use the energy of love to diffuse fearful situations, the less often they will present themselves. Very powerful. The outcome of all choices in life is determined by 2 emotions, fear and love. Pretty cool, huh? The next thing that I wanted to share with you was the fact that there's inspiration and direction that come from these cards. The regular tarot card is they're great decks, but I found that if I sat with negative emotion that was coming from that, it didn't resonate well with me. Oracle cards are inspirational. They give you direction. They give you a sense of validation and where your journey is. So they are amazing. There's all different kinds of decks out there, and I have about 30 decks, but this particular one is probably going to stay with me close to by my side. This deck allowed me to acknowledge a belief that I actually didn't know I had. So I knew I was scared, but then to tackle the word of fear and to dive into it, and then to realize that the hero's journey is what you're on. Isn't that amazing? Congratulations! If you're here for this video and you're trying to conquer fear, you're on a hero's journey to being your best self. That's pretty freaking amazing. The next thing that I noticed is when last year I had Christy Marie Sheldon's masterclass that hit me to my core. I had emotions coming up, or had memories coming up in the midst of her asking questions that were bringing up childhood memories that had emotions attached to them. In the midst of her asking, what do you have to offer? All of this knowledge that I have gained to be able to do this work is powerful. And that's why I want to share it. I've spent my life working toward this energy. How could it not be valuable? It's beautiful. But when she asked me what I had to share, what do I have of value to offer, I had a disconnect. I all of a sudden felt that I personally did not have anything to offer. And that wasn't valid. That wasn't true. How could I feel like that? I was shocked, and my mind started spinning. And I'm like, because this is amazing information. That's critical. But I wasn't enough. I wasn't good enough to share it. And then the memories that were coming up, I took note of them so that I could work with them. I was angry. I was very angry that these memories that had the emotion attached to it had been leading my life subconsciously all this time. And I'm like, this huge epiphany came across, this huge opening in my mind was amazing. I'm going to try and be quick with this video. I don't want to go too terribly long. But basically, so anything new coming to you from divine inspiration is coming from the right side. Anything from the left side of your brain is coming from memory or history, and it has an emotion attached to it. And I found that out sitting with a spiritual psychologist, because I had this memory that kept hitting me in the side of the head, and it wouldn't go away. And it was directly linked to what he was asking me about. And he sat there and held space for me so that I could figure this out. I actually did a meditation later, went back in to the memory and recreated it. And now I laugh when I think about the memory. I diffused the emotion. So this is a process, but once you know the steps, it makes your life a little easier, because we all have things we're trying to work through, and they're there for a lesson. Those problems are there for a lesson. It makes you a stronger person, and that's what we came here on this planet to do as our school. So I'm going to round this up at this point regarding this information. In the comment section below, please, if you want me to go in depth on something more specific, because there's a lot of different aspects that you can dive into regarding the steps and the tools and the journey. And I would love to hear yours as well if you relate to anything that's in this video. And in your comment, leave me a heart. And that way I'll know you got to the end of it. I'll put you in the drawing. Subscribe, hit the like button, and I will be posting more videos of my journey that I have come to, and I hope you're enjoying it. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.